Coming up next, I introduce you to two new fragrances, brand new from 8 & Bob. The, of course, legendary fragrance that was originally worn by JFK back, wow, I guess it was in the 1950s, maybe even the 40s. So this is two new extraits that just came out, new bottles. I'm going to introduce you to them next and give you a first impression and tell you what I think. Welcome back, everybody, to Joel the Nose here at Osme Perfumery, and today I'm doing I guess you could call this new release radar, but also first impression of two fragrances, both from 8 & Bob. Again, as I said, the legendary house, the original 8 & Bob was worn by JFK when he was touring Europe after college, before he became a politician, and you know, brought it back to the States, and it became famous with movie stars, and the story, you can Google it, is pretty famous. But today, let me have the proud pleasure of introducing you, if you haven't seen them yet, to two new fragrances. And excuse me if I butcher the pronunciation on one of them. This is Gethari or Gethari, okay? And then the second one is Agneta. Whoops, let me hold it up for you there. Agneta, look at that juice, look at these bottles. So first of all, notice the difference between this bottle and the original 8 & Bob bottles. In fact, let me go grab it for you over here. So this is actually the very first niche fragrance I ever owned. 8 & Bob, this is the original. So take a look at the difference there in the bottles. You can see obviously big difference in the bottles, what they've been doing here. And I gotta say, I love what they've done. So first of all, that's the first difference you'll notice in these new fragrances that have just come out. Let's get right into kind of what is different about these, or what is in the juice. So first, I'll tell you about Gethari. Gethari is, I think, capitalizing on what I've read recently is a big trend coming up over the next year in fragrance, and that is a pear fragrance. For those of you who don't know, the pear note, going back 100 years, is one of the most commonly used fragrances in a lot of the classic fragrances. Again, going back to the 1920s, 30s, 40s, 50s. If you ever have a chance, grab a book or go online, look at a lot of some of the classic fragrances, you'll see pear, one of the most widely used notes. And Gethari capitalizes on that one clearly. And I did read this just recently in the last couple days, in the marketing trends and the trends for perfumery going forward, that pear is going to be a note used heavily over the next year or so. So just spraying it on my skin, I love it. I can just tell you, it's got a note of salt and pear. It's got some jasmine in there. It gives a little bit of a sexiness, a little bit of an animalic note. It's got some suede leather. And then also a beautiful base of white musk, which keeps it clean. White musk, like galaxide, which is a synthetic white musk, because most musks are synthetic now because of the endangered animal, the deer. It's not really considered ethical, unless there's, people have musk that was already out there, already extracted. But most musks now are synthetic. And actually, a lot of them, you have animalic musks, and you have more of a white musk. This is the white musk. Very clean, sexy fragrance. To me, between the two, this is probably going to be more niche. When I say more niche, they're both niche fragrances, but as we all know, within even the niche fragrance world, some niche fragrances are a little bit more niche. They're a little bit more daring, they're a little bit more unique. Others are a little bit more mass appealing and I would say mass pleasing. And that leads me into Agneta. I think Agneta is going to be probably more popular between the two. Probably most of you watching are going to like this one better. I personally, off my first smell, like Gethari better, just because to me, I love that pear note. I love that ode to the classic fragrances. This one, also though, it's a tough one. I love the notes on this. As I've been working and making my own fragrances now and experimenting, a lot of the notes in this are notes that I like to use, and that includes bergamot, nutmeg, cardamom, it's got black pepper, it's got incense, coffee, agarwood, which is the wood that the oud resin comes from, sandalwood, musk, again, white musk. So this is more of an oriental fragrance. You're gonna see this is more spicy, dark, ambery oud, but not a stinky oud. This is a very pleasant, very mild. There's probably only a touch of agarwood in there. Also uses magnolia, another white flower which used to be used a lot more in perfumery than it is now. So both fragrances kind of have an ode to the past, but yet are modern kind of, interpretations, I think, of classic perfumery, which I love when houses really kind of mix the old and the new. For me, that's a trend that I hope to see going forward in perfumery a lot more, where you see more of a return to classic perfumery, but updated for the modern world. So it doesn't smell like old, flowery, sweet, old lady perfume, but smells like something is like a clash between the past and the present. I think that makes a really good, interesting juxtaposition. And I will say, right off my first impression, both fragrances do it extremely well. So there you have it, 8 Bob. You have, again, Agneta, and you have Gethari. Check them out. They're here at Osme. You can come here and obviously sniff them. You can order them online. You can also order samples from them. Great stuff. First impression, really love both. Both very different. Oh, they're both also extraits. So these are, what that means, of course, is they're more highly concentrated perfumes. So price, I don't know the exact percentage, but typically an extrait is going to be a minimum, and there's no exact formula, but I typically look for an extrait to be over 20% of the actual juice being the perfume oils, probably 20 to 30%. What are the prices on these?
That is 230, 280.
280 and both?
280, yeah.
Okay, and are these how many milliliters?
50.
50 milliliters. All right, 50 milliliters, 280. So obviously that's a lot more than, the 8 Bob original, which is 100 milliliters. It's around $180 or so. Again, these are extraits, so much more of the juice in here. Gonna make it more expensive to create and make. Also means, typically, my experience, gonna last longer on your skin because it's got more of the perfume oil. So there you have it, guys. Thanks for watching. As always, I'll be back soon with another video. Peace, love, and perfume.